Vážení posluchači a milí diváci, vítáme vás u další epizody Shuffle Talku a tahle ta bude trošku speciální kvůli tomu, že tady máme cenného hosta, který ovšem neovládá náš poměrně komplikovaný jazyk a právě proto celý rozhovor bude veden v angličtině. Pokud toto pro vás není problém, protože angličtinu ovládáte také, tak samozřejmě vám přejeme příjemný poslech. A v případě, že by vás i takto zajímalo, co náš host by vám chtěl říct a sdělit a co byste se o něm mohli dozvědět, tak na YouTube najdete celou epizodu s českými titulky. Což znamená, budeme se určitě těšit i na YouTube, kde jak jsem již řekl, naleznete celou epizodu s českým překladem. A nyní se už do toho pojďme pustit a já přepínám do angličtiny. So, I would like to welcome you after this short introduction. I sorry that it went...
Whatever you said.
Yeah. It went on for quite a while in Czech. I would like to welcome you as our new guest in Shuffle Talk, and I would say maybe even one of the first celebrity guests. I would say almost, you know, We've had a couple of episodes of people with people who are from the TEP community, and they did different things. They used to be judges. They used to be teachers. We had a lot of people who are, for example, working in different aspects of the dance community, but they are mostly from the studio. You're, I think, the first person who is an international guest, and you're the first person who is a well-known tap dancer in the international community as well. Our guest for today is Fabio Guillelmon. Did I say that correctly?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. All right. If
close enough, that's perfect.
Close enough. All right. Well, you know, I know what it's like to have my name butchered over and over again. So I'm trying to be helpful here in this department. Fabio is one of the most talented tap dancers in IDO right now, I would say. He's also an up-and-coming coach and choreographer. And also you are an owner of a new starting project that I think we will eventually get to as well. I have lots of questions prepared for you, but first, is there anything you would like to say at the beginning of the podcast?
Not really.
Not really.
Thanks for letting me be here, and yeah, I need an introduction like this every time I go somewhere. This is really nice.
Yeah,
I say after that.
I try. Usually with Fabio, we are very rough with the sense of humor that we used against each other, so it's nice that we finally not only have the opportunity, but but we have to be nice to each other for a next hour or so. All right, we'll start with the questions, and we'll just see where the conversation takes us. Honestly, all right. We have sort of like 3 segments we're going to take a look at, and the first one is sort of like, you know, your profile, so the listeners can get to know you, so they know who you are, and so they too feel as friends of yours, you know. Yeah, all right. So you are not only a dancer, you're also a musician. My first question would be what brought you to tap dance, and what brought you to music in the first place?
Well, as you said, I started with music. My dad plays cello, and so I heard a lot of music growing up. Not professionally, but he plays really well. And then I started playing cello, but I was also really interested always in sports. So I played hockey and I played cello. And then dance was kind of the way to connect both, because it's really sport, but with that art side of music. And yeah, but I discovered tap like pretty late compared to when people start nowadays. It's like 5-6 years old. I started tap dancing when I was like 9. And I think my first competition was then when I was like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And would you say was when you discovered tap dance, was that sort of a revelation to you where you fell in love with it, or was it like a process? that you sort of had to find your way towards it?
More of a process. I think it was not like I knew I wanted, if I was going to do dance, it was going to be this one.
Mm-hmm.
But I really was focused on other things at the time. So I was focused more on playing cello, and that was kind of my main thing for a while. And then I kind of switched to playing more hockey. And then suddenly COVID happened. And all the orchestras and hockey and everything was shut down. So, and we just moved to a new house. My problem was also always that I couldn't practice at home very well, or I had some boards, but the neighbors don't love me for that, or didn't love me for that. And then we moved to a new place, and I had space to practice in the basement and way too much time during COVID. So that's kind of all I did. And that's kind of the point where I fell in love with tap, but also just with not just with like being on stage, but also with the process of creating new steps and just creating new choreography and little things for myself.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started to also get better and enjoy it much more.
Oh, all right. I sort of feel that progression. I remember when I started as a kid, I hated tap dance. It was something that I liked to look at, but like I hated doing it. And I think
Practicing.
Yeah, I think I hated practicing, and I also wasn't very good, you know. So I think
Same.
if I did anything, I would sort of like, I think, hate it. That's actually a good question
I wasn't very good, says the guy who won like as a child already a world championship, you know.
But that came later. And I think I think the first win sort of like definitely like changed me as a person. Like, you know, when you're just don't have much confidence, and then something good happens to you, and it's just sort of like starts snowballing in how confident you are and how your abilities grow. I think that was very much the case.
Just maybe to explain, like I was really bad for a while. Like I placed like 20th or 16th at World Championships, and I was very.
And you were already doing solos.
Yeah, I was doing solos always. I was at a studio that wasn't really doing championships.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started at like 11, and I had this huge gap to people that, you know, started much earlier. So I was really not doing very well, and it was more just for fun. And then thanks to COVID, I kind of got to catch up. But I didn't win any titles or anything when I was a junior, for example. It really started when I was an adult.
Yeah. And your first competition was what year was it? An ideal competition.
2016.
2016 was your first.
And then I missed out on 2017 because I didn't qualify. And then 2018, 19, and since then.
Right. All right. So on my timeline for ideal, that's actually, you know, coming in quite late. And I think the junior, the both the children's and adults was always a hard category, right? But the juniors and children definitely started stepping it up around that time. Like I would say 2013 and onwards was when the way how the competitions work really like went up greatly. So
yeah, the level. I mean, already in the time that I have been around, it's really cool to watch that every year. It just like the level gets higher and higher.
Yeah,
which is really enjoyable, but kind of difficult to compete against.
Yeah, well, and it's getting only more difficult with each year.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, there is always a madman somewhere with you know, time on their hands, and yeah, be afraid. So did you have any inspirations, or do you have any inspirations right now? What were the people and what were the things that were inspiring you to, first of all, compete, but second of all, that inspired you as a tap dancer or as a performer?
To compete, I think it was more one other guy from my studio luckily at some point decided I want to win a trophy, and then he went to the Swiss championships and he got third immediately because I think there were 3 dancers in that category. So I saw that, and like as a 12-year-old or 11-year-old, I also want a trophy. So I guess that kind of happened. Yeah, but then really people who inspire me in tap dance, I I think the list is long because I try to take inspiration from as many different places as I can. Maybe we will talk about this later as well, but to me, it's very important to not just copy one style. It's important to me to try and learn from everyone and take the best from everyone that I can see. But I think some of the biggest inspirations have been, like, if I look at my solos, also who I go back and watch videos of, it's for sure you, then Anthony Morigerato, who especially in recent years has been one of the only people who is consistently doing things where I'm just like, what the hell was that? What kind of step is happening? And just in general, people from championships, I would always go back and watch videos. It's difficult to say one specific person. I think Nico Rubio as well has been an inspiration. Danny Borak, of course, because he was my coach for a while. So there's a lot of different places where he comes from. Daniel Leveillé from Switzerland. I think there's a lot of different things, and also just outside of tap dance. I try to, especially now, where I feel like I've seen a lot of tap dance, especially at World Championships, and at some point you've kind of seen all the steps, maybe, or not all the steps, but there's less and less new steps where every year you come back and you think, oh, I haven't done this or that yet. So now I try to also get inspired by maybe other dance styles, or I really like figure skating, for example, because the athleticism and the jumps and turns are really crazy. So I try to take inspiration from whatever I see and enjoy to watch, and try to expand kind of what I can do with it.
I think looking for inspiration is like a paramount thing. Like, it's one of the most important things when you're at the World Championship. I think even you're there to compete, of course, but you're there to watch and to be inspired. A lot of people don't want to take stuff from somewhere else because they sort of like see it as stealing, and I think it can be, and I don't agree, but because I think it can be done ethically. And
if we talk about stealing 10 seconds or 15 seconds of choreography, that's not okay. But if it's like a single step, and I forgot to mention, like, for example, Jared Grimes or someone like Connor Kelly, who also posts stuff on their Instagram, for example, short excerpts.
Really, well, their Instagram is basically just like
single
whatever video you open, there's like, oh, there it is.
There's something crazy I want to try. Exactly. And nowadays, especially with Instagram, it's actually gotten much easier to try and find people from the other side of the world who you can maybe take something from, who maybe don't do championships. But also to come back what you said. At championships, I think with the stealing, I think it's just how dance evolves. Like, people will see something that they like and they try to do it their own way, maybe. That's what I really enjoy seeing, is when people take something and do it their own way. And I think that's how, just as a dance, you continue to evolve, because someone brings in something new that's really nice, and then other people start picking it up. And to me, I now see that some people are kind of stealing my steps or things that I do. And I think that's completely fine. And it also forces me to just keep getting better or keep trying to do something harder, which is important to me, because otherwise I would at some point probably just like stop getting better, because you can just relax and be comfortable.
I think, first of all, when we both say stealing, I just need to say it one more time, that we don't mean stealing. Like, that's
it's completely fine.
It's completely fine. It's completely normal. It's ethical, and there is no problem with it, because people need to learn from other people. And I think one thing that's great about the World Championship or watching choreographies is that you see interesting, cool stuff and steps in context. There is quite a lot of people who post steps on their own and they are very cool, but they just like when you don't see them in the context, they just are not that impressive. Or sometimes you see them in the middle of the choreography and you realize, oh, you have to stop the choreography 3 seconds before and 3 seconds after to like do this step, so it's not working.
It's like people, especially in other dance styles, sometimes they stop dancing, they go like this, and then they do 15 fouette turns, and it just doesn't fit within. And that's the best example. In other dance styles, it's the same thing. And I mean, I've myself like created some steps where I think it's really cool, but I just never use them either in improv or in choreography because it just never makes sense. You don't just happen to be doing that. So,
I think the people who watch at the competitions, you know, people who actually take their time to sit down and watch bigger part of the competition, if they have the time and the resources to do it, are the people who are going to be on top in like 7 years or 5 years, because you know, because they actually are gathering the information, they're getting their inspiration to.
And I have to say, just a lot of it is like you can have great coaches, but a lot of it, especially in solos, is really working on yourself and by yourself to try and find the inspiration that you want, because you want to kind of discover what you like and develop your own style. Yeah. And it helps, like for me, it helped a lot that I didn't have a teacher that taught me all the difficult steps. So I kind of had to go on YouTube, find some cool choreography and just slow it down to 0.25 speed often, and then just try to redo it. And it's really important to try and then try to make your own version of it, because I think if you're just copying, the copy is rarely better than the original. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I would do. But it also helps to, when you don't have someone to teach you the steps, then you know exactly what you need to do to work on those steps, and it helps you to create new steps afterwards. Yeah. So
are you looking for inspiration in the same way as you do for tap dance? Are you looking for inspiration when you're thinking as a musician, or being you are part of the orchestra, right? And you're playing the cello. Do you ever sort of like go out on your own and you decide, oh, I want to learn this piece, I want to maybe write something, or is it just for you, it's sort of like, you know, you learn what you need to know to be a part of the orchestra? And
I mean, in the orchestra you have a conductor. It's kind of like a formation, I think you can imagine that you have one person who has the idea on how it needs to be done, and you obviously have someone who wrote down the piece, the composer who already wrote down how he wants it, and then you have a conductor who makes maybe his own version of it, but it's still that piece. So as an individual, you just kind of come in and do your job and you do that. But as a soloist, you can obviously go out and look for pieces that you want to do. Mm-hmm. It's different because you don't choreograph your own things. Yeah. Or you don't create your own music. At least I don't yet do that.
Is that on your bucket list?
Yeah, at least to try to play with it a bit, so I can also combine tap and cello in a better way, that I can understand both sides a bit better, is also to write at least some arrangements or some things that I'm already working on a few things, but there's a lot of potential there, I think. Mm. But as you were saying, I think when it's a bit different because you have the same piece that has been played by so many great cellists, for example, and then you would go and look at...
No, I'm thinking of Pachelbel's canon.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, that's just the same 4 notes, or 5 notes for 3 hours. But you have sometimes, it's as if you had a choreography. It's more a ballet thing where you would go and look at, okay, this person did it this way, and then this person maybe did it slightly differently. What version do I prefer, or what can I get inspired by? But it's not exactly the same as when you create your own choreography, for example. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Does, you know, hockey and sport still play the same role in your life, or is that something you've moved away from?
I still play hockey, but I moved down to like a 3rd, 4th league team, mm-hmm. just because I don't have time to train 3 times a week. It's still important to me because it's a cool team and we're having fun, but it's not as important as it used to be before COVID. because my priorities just shifted, and now I'm focusing more on tap. But I think it's very good that I still do it, because it helps me train some other things than just the legs and certain specific movements that I do in tap. It's a different sport, and I think I also can get injured there, but usually it's more in tap where I create new steps, and usually I just create new ways to get injured. So that's kind of the other side, is that when I train hockey, I also get to kind of stabilize certain, like for example, the knees are better because I play hockey, because there's certain elements that are that we train there. So
all right.
I need to stay awake. I need to drink more coffee.
Just to clarify, we're recording this podcast in the middle of an exchange program that we have with Swiss and German tap dancers, and also Czech tap dancers, of course. And we are on day 2. We're in the middle of the day, or technically day 3 of the exchange, but day 2 of the classes. So it is, it's quite exhausting. So
2 days ago we were up still jamming at 2 in the morning.
We were up jamming at 2 in the morning, and now it's been since the morning we had classes, and this room, because of the lights, it gets quite
But the coffee is great. So
the coffee is wonderful. The coffee is wonderful, and it's shuffle cafe. It's just
let's put in your advertisement.
Well, yeah, it's what am I going to give myself a check or something? Should I send myself an invoice for advertisement? I can thank myself in the mirror. All right, one last thing from the profile part of the podcast, or the interview, I could say, or just the friendly discussion that we're having. Life goals, what are they, and when do you plan to achieve them? Tell us.
That is quite a big step from the last question.
Oh yeah. Do you like sport also? How do you feel about having kids? No, come on.
Much. Well, I'm 20 now, so I feel like I still hopefully have quite a bit of life ahead of me. So I'm not setting exact goals, but there's a few things that I'm working on, or that I would like to achieve, even though I know that priorities change. Like, I also just felt that with the World Championships, for example. Like, it's still important to me, but there are certain priorities that shift. When you're very young, you think, oh my God, I need to win, and then when you get older, you just want to create some cool choreography. And
when you get even older, you just
still I obviously it's a competition, so I still want to win, but it's less it's still important, but it's a little bit less important than it used to be. But what I really want to work on is like continuing to develop my own things, continuing on, creating choreography that is interesting and that is something unique, which has always been very interesting or very important to me, and a very interesting thing to do, to try and just do something that maybe no one has done like this before, or create certain steps that I know currently maybe no one else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have some projects with my new startup that I'm kind of working on, again, like getting cello and tap together, getting several people together, and doing projects. Just what I really want to focus on is collaborative work.
Yeah.
Obviously also creating some shows, moving away from only tap and trying to maybe combine it with other dance styles, or try to show things that are more about telling the story instead of just, putting the craziest steps out there, which I'm still going to do because I enjoy it, but it's less the priority now. I don't know. It's difficult to say what is the life goal, but what is really important to me is to make tap entertaining, to make it interesting also for audiences who have never seen tap before, because way too often whenever I mention tap dance, and everyone goes like, oh my God, Fred Astaire. I think If I got
Fred Astaire, I would say is one of the better examples that you
yeah,
can
I
sort of
know.
get.
But if I got a euro for every time I mention tap, and then the first thing that comes up is Fred Astaire, I could probably buy a house. So it's kind of
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of we want to bring tap back to the mainstream, I guess. That would be the end goal, is to have more tap dance in general pop culture and just have it be entertaining.
Well, right now tap dancing, pop culture is sort of like a punchline for most jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
like
Yeah, I know. It
how
doesn't
many?
have to be.
Yeah, well, yeah. How many times has there been a sitcom where a person tap dances and it's treated like as a joke? There is a joke about it in
Yeah,
BoJack
exactly.
BoJack Horseman. You have the
Or there
college
was,
is for ugly girls who cannot tap
or
dance.
in most movies when there is tap, it's just so badly done because they don't care.
Yeah,
So it's
like very old school. It's like
either very old
70s
school, or
Broadway
they literally
tap
just
dance.
don't even sync up the sounds with what the person is doing with their feet, which is just like, that's like making a movie and someone is playing tennis and there's no net in the tennis racket and the ball just flies through. That it doesn't make any sense, and it annoys me very much. But on the other hand, it's understandable because people don't know enough about modern tap and about where it has gone. And every time, I talk to someone who doesn't know anything about tap, I'm like, yes, Fred Astaire is great, and he is, and also Singing in the Rain, Gene Kelly is really amazing because it kind of brought a charm on stage or in the movie that we may have lost sometimes a bit in the meantime. But tap dance didn't stop evolving in like 1945. It kept going.
Stopped evolving in 1957.
Which is great. Yeah, and it's really important to me that we kind of have different styles of tap dance currently, but we stay in our bubble a lot. Like people from festivals will stay with their festival teachers, and the kind of more artsy shows and things will stay within the tap dance community, and people will enjoy it, but it will be only tap dancers. And there's not enough going on with trying to collaborate with other things that are popular at the moment, where I think there's opportunities there to make tap dance more popular again in general and just show that it's not what it was in 1945. So
yeah,
that's just something that I like doing, or like to think that would be a good goal to work towards, to really make several projects that make tap entertaining.
Yeah. Okay, I have some questions about tap dance in Switzerland, because it is one of the informations that only you can give us, as you're the only Swiss person we've had so far on Shuffle Talk. What does the typical competition season look like in Switzerland? Give us sort of like the time frame or timeline of the year.
I mean, depends on how active the tap dancers are, but for most of them it's nationals, so Swiss Championship in September. Then for those that qualify, it's World Championship. For those that qualify and want to go, because not everyone from Switzerland wants to go, there's the World Championship, and that's kind of it. So there's not really much else for most tap dancers.
Do many studios sort of like find way how to use all the free space that is cleared up? Because when you have World Championship in October, you can sort of like do your thing until like February, and you or even March or April, and you still have enough time to prepare for the championships.
Do, for example, their own shows, but a lot of the time it's just the championship pieces again.
Oh,
so I think what is just mentally, it's a different headspace that people are kind of working in. It's more of you go there once a week and people are having fun, but it's not so goal oriented towards, we're going to do a show. There are people that work that way, but in general, I think in Switzerland it's still less recognized as a sport or as an art form, that there's just less to go to, and people will do the Swiss Championships and then not even know that there's World Championships sometimes. Like it's very different, and it depends on the studio a lot.
Yeah.
But in general, I would say it's just more difficult to I think also organize things in Switzerland, maybe because people are more busy with doing 100 things at the same time.
Yeah. How would you say tap dance is perceived in Switzerland? Is what is its prestige?
Depends. In general, not very high. Like people don't really know what tap is, or again, like Fred Astaire, and yeah, maybe, maybe not. But there's very little publicity.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we get a good result at World Championships or anything, we would try to push it. And now suddenly, like this year, I've had several journalists and people wanting to do interviews, but mostly because it was in this summer kind of hole where there's not much content. So I got lucky on that, and suddenly they are interested. And I think a lot of the time, again, when things are posted on social media or are done in television or anything, people are interested in tap. It's just it's not really a public thing that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to say because I cannot compare exactly to how it is in the Czech Republic, but it feels like here you have a bit more prestige probably, or a little bit more of a publicity. And
I think, I think it's because for the past 10 years, people definitely have been pushing to do like more projects and more shows and stuff like this. But also, and I might get this completely wrong, so you can correct me. But I have a feeling that maybe in Czech Republic people are in general are trying to sort of like do more with their time, and also they seek more culture on like a daily basis. So I think Czech Republic allows for more stuff to happen where you can get an audience. I don't know if you might correct me, but I think it's just much easier to do like a small time thing with just a couple of friends, and you can still get an audience because like people in general are just much more outgoing.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's very personal.
Yeah,
so
yeah, of course,
it depends very much on who we're talking about. But in general, I would agree.
Yeah.
That also in Switzerland, sometimes people are very, it's difficult to get projects started because a lot of the time it needs to be perfect always, and if it's not perfect, it will not happen again.
Yeah,
that's kind of sometimes the mindset. So people then don't want to start until they have the perfect plan, and then it's kind of difficult to actually start doing things because it's always slowing you down.
Yeah,
and also I would say just in general, Switzerland has been successful in the past at World Championships, for example, but now currently the style, for example, at the Swiss Championships that is expected or that is being judged, there are different aspects of the tap dance, of the tap dancers on stage that are being judged slightly differently. So it's more in terms of musicality than at the World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more difficult then to get good results at World Championships because you have to kind of do a choreography that works for both sometimes for Swiss and World Championships. And I think there are some differences in what just in general is being taught as well. And if I compare it to here, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you have less good results also, it's more difficult to then go to the press and be like, oh yeah, we got 18th place.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, I think, also part of it. And when people get good results, actually sometimes they don't because it's a lot of work, especially in Switzerland. Journalists are sometimes a bit difficult or just like difficult to reach.
Mm-hmm.
So they will not respond. You have to text them several times, and then Swiss people are very polite sometimes. They write one email with saying, oh yeah, we won the World Championship, and then no one responds, and you're like, okay, never mind. Yeah, maybe that's a bit different in the Czech Republic.
I don't mean to say that your nationality, so where you're from, where somehow like is the conclusive thing that changes if you're outgoing or if you're willing to take risks or not. But But as you said, like I think a lot of people in Switzerland are waiting for projects to be sort of like done, and well, waiting for them to be perfectly thought out and perfectly executed. And I know that's never the thing, right? Even when you're starting
It's
something
impossible.
really big, like I've heard stories of shows that started on Broadway, and you know a lot of them were still sort of
Chaos.
being chaos, and they were, well, not necessarily chaos, but they were still being figured out
Yeah,
and
yeah.
changed along the way a little bit in
But
in tiny little details, or in pieces of music, or in stunts and effects you use for throughout the show.
I mean, I know a tap dancer that is currently developing something, hopefully for Broadway, or at least for a big stage, and has already gotten through to some stages of product or pre-production and things. But it's a very long process, and things change a lot, so it can be very chaotic. And you just have to go for it. Like, you just have to put in the energy, put in the time, and just say, okay, we're going to do this. And I think that it's just a psychological thing sometimes, that people who say, okay, I'm just going to do it no matter how, or how many obstacles there are, then you just have a goal and you go towards it. And I think that's something I've definitely noticed in the Czech Republic. There is more of a goal-oriented thing, especially also when I see you do choreographies for championships. You know, everyone is just working towards it. While I think in Germany or in Switzerland, from the people that I know, it can be more difficult to get a group together where everyone is, yes, we're doing these championships and we all want to win. Most of the time when you do a formation, you have like 5 people that want to win, 10 people that don't care, and 3 people that don't want to go to the World Championships anyways. So it's very difficult to then have that collective mindset towards, we want to do something really great.
Yeah.
And then it slows down the choreographers, you don't get good results. And then suddenly no one wants to do it anymore, and people would just stop going to World Championships altogether.
Yeah. Talking about competitions and going to the World Championship, I wanted to ask you one last question about sort of tap dance in Switzerland. About the different tap teams and competition teams. Do you have an idea of how many there are, or just to give us an example, because we know what the situation is in Czech Republic, where there is, I don't know, 10 to 12 ish. I might be a little off. Competition teams that attend the championships on a regular basis. What is the situation in Switzerland?
I think there's about 8 studios. There's some of them are already very small. Like, they will have maybe 2 small groups or 1 small group and 2 soloists, and that's it. It really depends on the year as well, because depending on where the nationals are, people might do something more or less. I would say it's like 3 big studios, 3 bigger studios that are sending a lot of pieces and choreographies and people. And then there's 5 middle to small ones that just send a few of them. But just to, like, as I said before, for example, the friend I had that got 3rd place immediately because there were only 3 people. That's quite often how it is nowadays. There's only like 3 or 4 people who compete, or sometimes you have 5 or 6, and then it's already a good year.
Yeah.
So it's not as maybe competitive. It is, because the few people that do compete are usually pretty good, but there's not the massive amount of dancers that you might be used to.
Yeah. All right. The third segment that we are going to move on to is your personal experience from tap dance competitions and also tap dance events, because you've attended quite a lot. You have experiences from IDO. You have also experiences from the Dance World Cup. You've gone to many different festivals, both in Europe and the United States. Have you been to festivals outside of these 2 continents?
Trying to think. No, I don't think so.
All right. I was thinking maybe if you've gone to Singapore
or Brazil,
or Brazil or Japan, maybe.
No, I know some people that have been there,
Mhm.
but no, I've mostly stayed in Europe and then some trips to the US.
Yeah. Well, I have a question about what your preparation for the competition looks like. You know, when you're creating a solo, when you're working on a competition choreography, what is that like for you?
In general, so throughout the whole year, I'm always, when I'm inspired by something, I will try to create new steps or create new things that I think could be interesting.
Hmm.
And then I write them down or I film them, and I kind of create a list of things that I think could be new in the next solo, or it could be a new element in a duo, things that I think have not been done before or that I haven't seen much of. And then I have this list, and when I find the music, which is usually the worst part because I cannot decide or find music that I'm happy with.
Hmm.
So then I cut down the music, I do that by myself, and then I try to find the spots in the music where those steps or those things that are really important to me can fit in.
Hmm.
Certain jumps or things that are kind of also my signature moves, I would say, like by now, or that I know they kind of need to be in there. So I find kind of the perfect spots for those. And then I have kind of like a map for the choreography. Like I know this needs to be there, this needs to be there. Now I've started thinking about which way do I need to move, which way do the steps move in this and that section. And then I just take other steps from what I know or what I think works with the music. Is it a slow or quiet part, or is it a very loud part? And I try to make it as interesting as possible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of for a solo. For different choreographies, it works a bit differently, depending on how much time I have as well.
Yeah.
But that's definitely it. And I work a lot on just technique and trying to improve. And then sometimes I create steps where I think this is really cool, but I have no idea how to put it in. So then I don't.
What is the shortest time you've created a choreography in?
I mean, I may have finished several solos, like the last 2 solos, like a week before the competition. And then I had to, like, that is the amount of time. It was like for the last minute of choreography of the 30 seconds was like 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
But as a whole, it usually takes me like 2 months because
Mm-hmm.
now it's getting better, but usually I will spend sometimes like 2 weeks on just 10 seconds of choreography because I do 10 seconds and I'm not happy with it, and I do it again and I'm still not happy with it, and I do it like 15 times. And then in the end, I take the first version because that was actually the best one.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a process. It takes a while, but I think the duo we did at the Dance World Cup, I did in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's probably the shortest
Interesting.
amount of time.
Cool. Cool.
Depends.
Yeah.
Depends how inspired you
No,
are.
well,
by the music.
yeah, exactly. And it depends on. It depends on how you're inspired. It also depends on how desperate you are to have the
To just
have it done. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends a lot on who you're working with as well. If you have a duo partner, if I have to worry all the time about, oh my God, is she going to be able to do this or not? Now I had a duo partner like with Delia, who was just willing to try everything, even if it was completely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you can just go for it and it will be fine. And otherwise, I just have to worry about not trying to kill the people that I'm dancing with by doing stupid steps.
What was the largest choreography you ever did? And I mean, in a trio or small group or formation? Small group.
Small group. Small group. It was 8 people, I think. So technically,
it was a formation. Yeah.
Like it's a small group.
All right.
That is a small group.
Yeah. It's a very small formation. All right. I have a question about festivals and TEP events and conventions but there is a distinction between a festival and a convention because at least from I'm not sure if it's a rule, but basically anytime I see something that's called a festival, they have dance rooms, they have studios you can work in, they have smaller classes. I would say whenever I see something that's called a convention, it's a hotel lobby with 500 people.
It's more of an American thing.
Yeah, it is, and I've talked to some of them about it, and it's completely a different experience. Not to even be there, but also to teach it. I believe it can be sort of like useful for dance, but for tap dance, I think it's just a crazy
every time
form.
I see people just having to dance on carpet, I'm like, guys, just let it be.
Yeah,
At
just
that
let
point,
it, just cut it. Just cut it. Just move.
yeah, guys,
Just play some Nicholas Brothers.
same thing as then I can understand that when you have such bad floors, that people start doing cartwheels in tap shoes because that's just their way of competing and just showing that they actually can do something. You cannot hear any of the taps. So
the Marley is a menace, honestly.
Yeah, no, you know how like the dance World Cup is on Marley or this kind of dance floor.
Yeah.
And it just kills me every time, like especially with double wings or something. I just get stuck in the air. I think it's the worst thing. But then I come to the World Championships and the floor is so slippery that I'm also not happy with it. So I think as tap dancers, you will never be happy with your floor.
I think what you're looking for is not really about it being slippery, but about being able to hear it. And I think that's the problem. What Marley definitely has a problem is that you don't hear much of the sounds, like all the...
Yeah, but it being slippery is also not the greatest thing ever. It
but
needs
at
to
least
be the
you can hear
perfect
it.
amount of slippery, it needs to be so that you can slide but you don't fall on turns. So
I
mean, usually, but that's kind of on me because I just do too many risky things, and I think
I think you're gambling on stage a lot.
I know. That's just my opinion, because I personally would rather watch someone gambling and doing something risky and cool instead of always playing it safe, because playing it safe can be...
Well, I think there is playing it safe, and there is playing to your strengths. I think.
Yeah, very true. But even if you play to your strengths, you can mess it up. And I think last year was the only year I haven't fallen in competition.
Well, that gives you a sort of an idea that maybe
I always try to find the limit, and you usually
I think if you're
like,
that person who gambles a lot but you end up losing your money every single night, maybe you should rethink your life choices a little bit.
I mean, it has worked so far.
Oh yeah, you live for the thrill. All right. So, do you have any favorite festivals?
Favorite festivals. Here we go. So, I think in Europe, I would say it's Stockholm, just because it's so big and there's so many people. There's a great lineup. Yes, lineup of teachers.
Yeah. Beatles. Great. Let's keep going. Now I only need to do Star Wars, and we checked off every single box for Shuffle Talk. Yeah.
You can do that with Ruben.
I can do that.
Sure, he will be very thrilled.
No, it needs to be in every episode.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
So Stockholm was really the one festival where the level is really high as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there is just so many great teachers. They somehow always end up having the teachers like Anthony Morgerato, Nico Rubio, Cardia Williams, like people that I think are really, really valuable, and they also come there and try to teach you something. It depends on the teachers. I think every festival depends so much on teachers. For example, Luthier Tap Festival is also cool, but because there you have the same teachers every day. You kind of have the same lessons. So there it depends really which teachers are there, because if all the teachers are not your style or you don't like them, then it's not going to be a fun experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Prague a few times. I've been to the US. I think I would talk about that. It was Chicago. I've been, and it was really fun because we were so few people. Because Chicago, it has some history. That they had some, I wouldn't say scandal, but they had some falling out, and it was a year or two after, so there were not many people there, just because of things going on around it. But the teachers were really cool, and so we had Derek Grant there, for example, and the class was 4 people, I think.
Yeah.
So we just got to jam one-on-one with Derek Grant, which is kind of cool. So stuff like that is really nice. But I just... It's difficult to say which festival is the best, because I haven't been to all of the ones that I've been told are really good. So, for example, there's Orange County Tap Festival, where I know some people are from, and it seems like it looks amazing, and I would really like to go there someday. But I haven't managed to yet, and it depends on what you want, what you expect from the festival. I think if you go to certain festivals and you expect to learn 15,000 new steps, then that's maybe not going to happen. But if you expect to learn about musicality, then it depends on the teachers, but you're going to learn about something different.
Yeah, because I think you're learning steps everywhere all the time. Like anytime if you're willing to watch stuff, then that's how you learn steps and you see the inspirations. But like having the ability or the option to talk to the people who are sort of in charge of the dance style at the moment. I know it's not completely accurate, but I think it's a good description.
It's true. I'm just saying learning new steps and things because the teachers I like best, like I was saying, Anthony Moggiato, on top of being an amazing dancer, he's a great teacher. And his classes are, for example, you can always learn a lot about musicality, but you also learn new crazy steps, and he always does something crazy difficult, but it will be also crazy musically. So he will do something in like 5-6-5-6 kind of bars and a weird structure and everything, and then he will put in the weirdest and most crazy air steps and things like that. And I love teachers that can do both. So I usually choose the festivals I go to by just seeing who's there. Because going back to the question, what's the best festival? It depends on who's there.
Yeah,
that's really it. And it depends on the level, of course.
Yeah, and I think with some of the festivals, from a position of someone who was trying to organize or like talk to the festivals and see what the options are, I think it really also depends on organization.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were some great festivals that got completely ruined just because the people in charge were either not very competent and straight up fraudulent. So and the weird thing, it happened a couple of times. I've heard of like a couple different festivals in Europe and in United States that just disappeared because like one of the partners of the festival just managed to tell a ton of money out of the festival and just disappeared or something. Like it happens. And I think eventually these festivals, some of them have been going on for quite a while, but some of them are relatively new. And when I say new, I mean like, under 10 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a crazy like influx of festivals just popping out out of nowhere. And
since like 2010, how many festivals were created and they are still around?
Yeah, a lot of them are still around. Some of them are every 2 years or... Oh, Taptastic is another one that I would mention that I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not at the super highest level yet, but there's a really friendly atmosphere. So I think in Europe we're lucky that there are now quite a few good festivals. But yeah, it's not the US. You don't have the same amount of things, but I also think it's culturally it's a bit different, so it wouldn't work if everything was done the exact same way as it is.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
And I also think now, if you create another festival, there's almost no time in the year where there is not already another festival. So it's
well, but there is one thing is the schedule. The other thing is who you are aiming at, like what is your target group? Because a lot of I know that there are a lot of festivals that, for example, are just I don't want to say biased. Because it's not like a negative way. It's not an active thing, but sort of like passively not very welcoming. For example, for people with competition background or mainly competition background.
That is very true. That's something that when I say I said before, like I want to do more collaborative work and things like that. One of the things that I think we need to improve on as a dance community or tap dance community, and that is just not ideal at the moment, is that there is this really big gap sometimes between competition dancers and festival dancers, or sometimes now competition dancers are going more towards the festivals, but festival people are not as appreciative of competition dancers, even though there is... I mean, honestly,
the amount of effort, I think, is very much something that's very like same on both sides. Like you have people putting in insane amount of hours to do a great show and insane amount of hours to do a great choreography for the competition.
Exactly. And both things, I can understand criticisms of championships, oh, it's not fair, and it's an art, it's difficult to judge, and so on. That's all. Those are all fair points. And on the other hand, there are also things in the festival world or in the more art side, in the art side of tap that are also not ideal, as we were saying before. Like sometimes it can be too far out there for someone who doesn't know tap to even get interested in
or
it.
Sometimes it can add to like creating that bubble that sort of like
exactly, because
separates you from the audience.
What happens a lot is people will do musical references to old masters a lot and really talk about what has happened in the past. And if you don't know the history, or if you don't know jazz very well, you cannot talk with them, because it's almost impossible to know everything that you're supposed to know. And there's just this gap, and I think both things have good things and bad things, and it's unnecessary to try and say, oh, this one is better, this style of tap is better. It really all adds up to, in the end, the best dancers are the ones that can kind of take the best from everything. And yeah, I mean, we in the competition world, we put in a lot of effort into technique and things that sometimes don't get valued, but that I think have a lot of value in terms of when you're trying to reach an audience or trying to do work with tap. And so there's just both sides, but it's getting better now. But it's mostly the competition, or from what I've experienced, it's mostly the competition people that are putting in effort to try and go to festivals, and it's much less festival people coming to World Championships, for example. There are some, but then
it is a little out of balance. Very often you go to those festivals and you feel almost like apologetic.
Yeah,
which is like.
And then they ask, "Oh, what do you do?" And I say, "Competitions."
And they're like, and you know, I've had that conversation a couple of times, where I was like, "Oh yeah," they were like, "What do you usually do?" And I'm like, "Competitions, you know, the World Championship." And they were like, it was like if I told them like, "Oh yeah, I do," you know, I don't know, smoke weed, and someone was like, you know, "You should not do that." Like I don't brush my teeth, you know, 3 times a day. I was like, you should do that.
Yeah, and it's. So I get asked a lot, why do you still do it, especially as I get older? You're like, oh, you should stop doing competitions. You should focus on the art now. And I'm just like, there's so much to enjoy and to discover and to keep growing.
And so many people to meet.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a great place. I think that is also maybe one of the differences, because a lot of tap teachers at festivals come from the US. And from what I've heard, the competitions there can be a lot more toxic, or a lot more competitive in a bad way than maybe what we have at the World Championships, where people most of the time will get along well and it's an opportunity to meet dancers from other countries, which festivals are as well, of course. And I always have to laugh so hard, because they say, oh yeah, you cannot judge tap dance, and then what do they do next? They do a cutting contest and they're judging tap dance, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
You're just judging improvised tap dance instead of choreographed tap dance, but that's kind of it. Like, everything has its value in the end, and it's sometimes difficult conversations, but I think conversations need to be had, because there's no point in trying to outdo each other in terms of tap, when already it's almost impossible to make it.
Yeah, but I think there are a lot of tap dancers who are starting to be way more open to that conversation, which is wonderful. Yeah, I have a few more questions, so we can bring it to the end in a timely fashion.
I've been talking for too long.
No. You are doing a wonderful job, but I just see there is a red light blinking at me that we are going over.
Time.
No. We're going over into basketball, so we need to. It's a Czech saying. It's a little joke it's like a sketch from the 90s. And there were people pretending to have a conversation on TV, and one of them says, "Oh, there is a red light blinking because we are going over into basketball, so we need to wrap it up." Yeah. Okay, so your favorite choreographies that you created. Do you have any sort of choreographies that you look back at and you're like, that was a good one?
I would say the solo from last year, I think was pretty good. Yeah. That's kind of it. I like everything else. I'm most of the time. I think the duo this year that I did for the Dance World Cup was also interesting and has some new ideas in it. But in general, most of the time, it's either the choreography was good, but then the execution wasn't, or the other way around. But I'm still working on finding the perfect way to do choreography.
Yeah.
I would say the solo from last year was, at least the end version of it was pretty good.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I agree completely. It was an amazing choreography, and you should be proud of it. Three of your biggest successes, or something that holds three successes that you hold most dear in your heart, deep inside you. Let us know. Tell us.
That's difficult. So I would definitely say, like, as I said, kind of the solo from last year and also solo from this year, kind of as one thing together.
All right, one.
Because for several reasons, maybe if I can explain it quickly, because obviously they had some success in the competitions, but I would say it's also the solos where I feel like it's really my style. I'm starting to really show what I want, and it's not just technique, it looks nice as well, and it works in the choreography. And yeah, for seeing where I came from, like I had to fight my way up. I didn't just always win, so I really had to work hard to get there. I think that's more the achievement than the end result. But so I think that was kind of one of the main things that I'm proud of. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like teaching in a way, like it's a very general thing, but one of the things that makes me very happy is when I get to teach, and then I teach someone a new step. And especially a lot of the time when I show the step at first, everyone's like, "This is impossible. I will not be able to do it, whatever." And then when I happen to explain it correctly and show it, and then it works, then that's like a big achievement, especially with kids, because they are so happy about it. So that's really fun. I think that's like all those moments are kind of an achievement. Yeah, I don't know. There's just, I think outside of tap, maybe there's been some cool things that I've been able to do that I would put together in like an achievement. Like I won several things with the cello. I got to go on tour with the orchestra in South Korea. I got to play in a musical. Like that is all kind of something that I'm proud of, but I wouldn't like pick one to be. It's one of the best.
Yeah. No, I think it's wonderful, and I personally like that there was also a success or an achievement from your personal life or more outside of tap dance, because I think it's wonderful when there is more to someone's work than just the trophy, just the medals, or a paycheck for a project well done at the end, right? This is quite a difficult question, but I would ask you for a short answer, just because we could get into this topic for another 90 minutes. What makes a good tap dancer?
Wow, short answer. Great. Great question too.
Colorful tap shoes.
It's the smile. No.
It's the smile. It's it's the passion for tradition.
Actually, just like to add on to what we said before, because tradition is a really good foundation to build on, but it's not the ceiling. And I dislike the way that a lot of people are only developing tap looking backwards into the past.
Yeah.
And I think the success of tap is in the new state, or like the future of tap is going to be in the new steps we create and in the new shows that are created. And I don't like just always bringing back
it is something that you should be aware of.
Exactly.
Even just in case if you're working on a project and there is something that sort of comes up and you're like, oh wow, that's interesting, and you start marketing it like, oh yeah, I did this thing, and then you find out, oh, someone has done this 60 years ago with the same exact idea. It's good to be sort of aware of the dance style that you're working.
Exactly.
I don't think you have to know it perfectly, Because when you're a musician and you're in a funk band, you don't have to know Mozart by heart to like be able to.
You should know who that is.
Yeah, you should know who that is, but you don't have to be able
exactly.
to.
But I think tradition is an important word. That's why I picked up on it. And yeah, there's just a lot to talk about that as well. But going back now that I've thought about it, to what makes a good tap dancer or what makes a great tap dancer, to me, I think the greatest dancers in general, but tap dancers, is people that bring their own style to it, that do something that no one else can or will do on stage. That to me, and in a good way. There are also people that do things that no one else wants to do.
Yeah.
Where it's maybe shouldn't be doing that. But in general, people who because I will watch certain categories at World Championships, and there's just 20 pieces that are, or choreographies and dancers that are all just kind of the same.
Yeah.
And what really, that's why I was saying before, I will always take the risk instead of playing it safe, or not always, but a lot of the time, because to me, perfection will always be beaten by something that's unique. So I don't want to watch a robot do something perfectly that has been done before. I would rather watch a good dancer do some really cool things and then maybe mess up in some point, but at least I saw something that was special, that was new to me, and that that inspired me in a way, or that made me feel something. And I think that's the other part of it. The greatest dancers are the ones that can make the audience feel something. It can be just like, wow, that was crazy. It can be
sadness,
crying, happiness. It's just
nausea.
Nausea would maybe not be in the top 5.
No, not in the top 5, but it's up there.
Yeah, it's close. So there's these two aspects to it, but to me, like, dancers that I can watch and say, okay, wow, that was something that I haven't seen before, or that no one else here did that way, and it was really good. That to me is the best dancers, and I think the ones that have their own style will always be successful, because they're not just a cheap copy of something else that already happened. It's really them, and they bring their personality on stage, and you can kind of see the person on stage instead of just watching a robot do everything perfectly, and then it's like, you made noise with your feet, now walk off the stage. So
yeah. I think that's a pretty good thing to focus on, and especially being in touch with the audience, because we are artists. I subscribe more to the idea that we are artists because we create people we create art for people to interact with and to consume, and I mean it in a good way.
I think it's between art and entertainment. It's kind of both. It's difficult to make the distinction, but I agree.
Yeah. Well, I think even when you're creating art, you're doing it. Art started as a thing of worship, and it started as a thing that people was supposed to sort of bring something closer to the people.
I think because that's an important thing, I think, that is not talked about enough sometimes, is the distinction between art and entertainment. Maybe it's very difficult to make, but to me, art is also something people will do to give a message or to say something, and it's usually art, for example, is always political, it is in general political. It has a meaning behind it. It has something it wants to say, and there is. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to look nice. It doesn't always have to be entertaining, but it has a meaning, and it has to make people think and feel something. Meanwhile, entertainment doesn't. There can be movies that are just entertaining and that don't make you, think about life choices or the current political situation or whatever. There can be some things that are both, that are entertaining and that are art. But it's sometimes difficult because we always say we want to make tap dance entertaining. We also value the art side of it, but it doesn't always match with what you want to do. So
Well, very last question. Do you have any advice for our listeners, whether they are you can even distinguish, but I think we have some tap dancers who are listening. We have their close ones, maybe their parents listening. So is there something you would like to leave them with?
I mean,
I know
I always feel bad giving advice because I feel like
that's fine. That's
but I think in terms of tap, I can give some advice or what I think has helped me. And it's definitely to, for example, try to have different teachers, not just one teacher. I mean,
kids don't listen.
Yes,
that's a hoax.
That's a hoax. Leave the studio. No,
I agree with you.
Please don't. But have different inspirations, different teachers. Or go to different teachers. You can have one main teacher, but you should have different places of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Try a lot of different things and take what you like, leave what you don't. That's always been my opinion, and what works for you. You should try to do your own version of it. That's also, we were talking about stealing steps earlier. Like, you can try to do your own version of things, and that way you will develop your own style and you will become a unique dancer, which is, as we were saying, that's probably one of the ways to become a great dancer, is on top of technique, just have your own style, be yourself on stage. And yeah, I think just having a lot of different inspirations and try to work on that by yourself and think about what it is that inspires you and what it is that you actually like doing is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in short, it's just like, do your own thing, be inspired by others, and be yourself.
Yeah.
I think that goes for life as well, just in general. But don't, there are people who just play a role on stage and you can see it when they're not in it fully, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Tak.
Yeah. Tak. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all your answers. I believe it's been very, very educational to listen to us and to see some different perspectives, and also a lot of new information from your point of view, and also the places that you visited. I think it was wonderful. I personally cannot wait to see what your next project is going to be, what your next choreography is going to be, and I'm very happy that we had the option and we had the opportunity to have you here. It was a great pleasure. I hope these questions didn't I don't know, either make you uncomfortable or didn't make you bored. And we were super happy too.
That would be the best advice. Just don't be boring.
Don't be boring,
actually.
like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with me, just don't make me boring.
I need to go take a nap now.
Yeah, we all do. So thank you so much for your time, and I would also like to thank our audience. If you've listened up until this point, it's been great to have you here as listeners and as also viewers, because we are on YouTube as well, and that's where you can find the Czech translation or the Czech subtitles. It's been great, and I cannot wait to have you in the studio again and to create more projects together. Moc krát vám děkujeme za pozornost. Věřím, že jste si tento rozhovor užili, ačkoliv byl trošku netradiční a navíc v jiném jazyce, ale věřím, že to pro nás a pro vás také nebyla nějaká zásadní komplikace, a budeme se na vás těšit v dalších epizodách Shuffle Talku. Nashledanou. See you later.